Major announcement here at the new warehouse. We are excited to announce a new partnership with our friends at Experior Global. As some of you may know, we have been operating a micro-fulfillment center in Philadelphia over the past year or so, but we are taking it to the next level by expanding our e-commerce fulfillment capabilities in a brand new space in Hamilton, New Jersey. We are partnering with Experior Global to create Experior Fulfillment, and we'll be offering e-commerce fulfillment services. The partnership allows us to build on what we have already created with a great, well-established company and gives us the ability to handle everything from e-commerce, FBA prep, B2B distribution, and transportation needs for our customers and future customers. So, yes, the new warehouse has a new warehouse. This episode is very special as it was recorded in the facility that we will be building out this operation in. It was recorded prior to this relationship coming to fruition, but if you are interested to see it, be sure to check this episode out on our YouTube channel. If you are interested in our fulfillment services and think that we can help you or are thinking that your solution should be utilized in our operation, feel free to reach out to me directly at kevin@thenewwarehouse.com to discuss. From a microphone to a full-on warehouse, I cannot believe how far we have come with the new warehouse, and I am so thankful for your support along the way. Stay tuned in for updates on how we progress on this new journey right here on the new warehouse. And now, on to this special episode featuring our new partner, Rodney Galeano of Experior Global.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, and I am here, New Warehouse Podcast, in a warehouse, right? You can see the warehouse behind us here. I'm at the new Experior Global location here in Hamilton, New Jersey, and I'm joined by my new friend. We just connected at ProMat over a safety tip involving the color of your urine, right?
Yes.
Rodney Galeano. He's the Executive Vice President and Head of Warehouse Operations here at Experior Global, and we just met, and it turns out that their new warehouse is in my new warehouse. You see what I did there? The new warehouse is right here in my backyard, so we figured we'd do a podcast here before it's all filled up. So, Rodney, thanks for inviting me into your new place. How you doing?
Absolutely, Kevin. Hey, it's great to have you here. Figured
Definitely.
we'd get a little creative by doing this podcast in the middle of a warehouse. You know, this warehouse won't be empty for long. 266,000 square feet, all for us, right in the middle to do the podcast. So thank you for coming and having me.
Definitely. I'm happy to. Anytime there's a new warehouse, I like to check it out, right? I mean, the name of the podcast, but it's great to be connected with you and especially, here in the backyard. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Experior Global and what you guys are trying to do with this space and the big business you guys already have. But I'm curious first, let's hear a little background from you because, the last time we met, we talked a little bit, got to know each other, and you have a pretty interesting story, and you're to be in the position that you're in, you're pretty young for that, I think. So I think it's a great story, and I'd love to hear kind of the background and how you got to be in this position and everything that's kind of come along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I started in supply chain 10 years ago when I started studying at Penn State, and
Okay.
I got my supply chain and information systems management degree from the Smeal College of Business. Started as an analyst for the Clorox Company, Mondelez International, Johnson & Johnson, really just learning different facets of supply chain, whether it was on the procurement side, the operational side, and really got my hands-on managerial experience at Amazon when I was a part of one of their launch teams for Carteret, New Jersey. So I was at Amazon for about 2 years.
Okay.
Launched their Carteret, New Jersey distribution center, and then went to their Edison, New Jersey distribution center. After launching Carteret and Edison for Amazon, I started working for American Tire Distributors, and they gave me the opportunity of becoming a site leader, a general manager of a facility.
Okay.
So, in
Nice.
any supply chain leadership role, you start off, well, there's a lot of different ways of starting, but the way that I started was managing an outbound department in an Amazon distribution center, 1 million square feet, a couple hundred warehouse associates on assembly lines in a packed distribution setting. And, I started to expand from there, right? So, depending on how effective you can be, you're given more opportunity and quickly in a warehousing setting, right? It's not for everybody, and it takes a certain type of person to
It can
to
be a
lead
little
inside,
crazy, right?
inside of a warehouse setting. Yeah, it gets very hectic, You're responsible for hundreds of people inside of a warehouse setting that has a lot of moving pieces, that has, all different facets to it, whether it's extremely hot, and everyone's physical and everyone's, sweating together, and it's 3 or 4 in the morning and you're on the graveyard shift, because I did that for over a year at Amazon.
Oh, nice,
so,
nice.
Earn your stripes in a way.
Yeah.
And, it's the graveyard shift. So it's from 5 p.m. to 5 in the morning. And, you really start to form a family with all the warehouse
Yeah,
people,
absolutely.
right? You're
Right.
together for so long. You eat. You start your day, you take breaks together, you eat your lunch together, you end your day. No matter what, you have to eventually become pretty personable with your whole warehouse team, and that's what I love about it. That's what I love about leadership and being able to lead large teams inside of the warehouse setting. So at Amazon, I got the opportunity of managing different departments, different size teams, eventually got put on the day shift, got the opportunity of launching their Edison facility after a successful launch in Carteret. Got to Edison, was there for a half of a year before I got the opportunity from somebody on my team. So it was another leader on my team that pretty much took me to American Tire, gave me the opportunity to run a whole facility. And that was me moving to Florida, going to a new location where I didn't know anybody. And I think, that's a part of the sacrifice, right? Are you willing to leave everything that you have, your friends, your family, to go to a new city where you don't know anybody? You don't know what to expect. And yeah, of course, for me, it was worth it. I was going to become a general manager of a facility. It was going to be, a
big
full
job.
site leader role. And then at American Tire, we did a revamp at that facility. They had a couple issues. As a site leader, that's what you go into warehousing, right? You're either going in, it's difficult to say that you're going to go into a plug-and-play situation, because in warehousing, you're always growing. You're always trying to improve. What higher throughput can we have? How can we decrease these certain costs? How can we engage to grow the culture of the inside of the warehouse? And there's just so many different areas to it, right? So for me, it's like Gear 5 at all times. It's fast-paced. Florida a little slower paced than New Jersey and New York, but
yeah, definitely.
It was a really good experience for me. That's where I got to become a site leader, and thankfully, we made a lot of great changes at that facility, and it all started with setting the expectation with KPIs with your employees. I think that's really what's important, is making sure that your employees and your team knows what good looks like. What is winning?
Right.
Do we, are we winning at a daily level, at a weekly level, at a monthly level? What are our targets, right? And this is at every area of the warehouse. It can be during the offloading of trucks on the dock area. You would expect for a trailer to be offloaded in 2 hours. Yeah. As a timestamp, right? And then similarly, when you're picking, right? What your units per hour rate.
Yeah.
And, when you're putting away your units, your put away rate, and, how quickly how many boxes are you packing in an hour, right? If it's a single item in a single box, you'd expect about 95 to 100 an hour.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But if you engage your team, if you get your team to feel the bigger picture, you tie them to the leadership principles, the values, the mission statement of the organization, the bigger picture of why you're doing it, which is to, meet the customer promise of the millions of people out there at the time at Amazon or at American Tire, the largest, tire distributor in the country, where, you're facilitating tires to 60% of the tire demand in the country.
Right.
Right? So when you get that sense of purpose and you really start leading with that to your whole team, and the whole team feels that purpose, then everyone really wants to start working to level up. And that's really the culture that you want. That's when you get to that top caliber where, no one's saying that's not my job. It's a team culture. Everyone helps each other out. Everyone has the right intention of doing good by the company, by the team, by the business. Yeah. And it's easier said than done. Right?
Oh,
that's kind of, there's
I've
a
been
whole,
there, I know.
There's so much to it, right? It doesn't happen overnight. In some cases, you don't get the buy-in by the team, right? So you have to do a lot of transforming, a lot of revamping, and really change the team. And that's okay, right? You give everybody an opportunity for a few months, for a 3 to 6 month period, and sometimes it doesn't work out.
Right.
But it's important as a leader to understand that and make the right moves for the business and for the team. When you have one bad apple or one person that's time off task, underperforming because they might have a relationship with the manager, and there's unfairness happening, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Whether it's
happens a lot. Yeah.
It's a type of friendship.
Yeah.
That unfairness really is toxic for the whole team, right? It diminishes your culture in so many different ways, and I think people don't. As a leader, it's so important to grasp that. As soon as you have any type of toxicity on your team because someone is dragging the team down, then you got to act on it, and you have to do something about it. So transformed the West Palm Beach facility, then got the chance to go to Long Island, New York for a bigger facility, bigger scope, $50 million business, transporting tire products and really just all overall rubber and tires all across Long Island and the boroughs. And, that was a great opportunity as a site leader of that market. A lot of transformation, a lot of revamping opportunities there. And then I went to IDEA, which is the largest appliance company in the world, manufacturer in the world.
Right.
Yeah. And, I went from managing, one facility to multiple facilities to a whole warehouse network, right? So now I'm managing 10 facilities at IDEA. And it really all starts at the foundational level, right? So you really have to figure out how to optimize a small department in a warehouse, and then be able to influence multiple departments.
Have that spread.
How do you tie them all together?
Yeah.
How do you get the flow between one department to the next, right? And then being able to continue to layer on improvements. And they're never ending, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can always do better in warehousing.
Continuous improvement, right?
It's
always
never-ending
going.
continuous improvement.
Yeah.
You hit your target, you get your best rate, your highest rate, and then there's an improvement around the corner, right? Now it's, are we going to do 3% or 5% or 7%? How are we going to challenge ourselves to get to that next level?
Absolutely.
But, a little cliche, but it stuck with me my whole career. It's just hard on the process, easy on the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great story. And you can see your leadership qualities and how you've, been through the different warehouse settings and figured out different teams. And I think what you said there is such a key thing, especially for those that may be listening that are younger students or, looking to grow within their warehousing role. Being able to optimize in that small individual department first and really kind of taking that department and making it the best that it can be, right? And like you said, continuously improving. That's how you're going to improve yourself and grow and be able to spread out to now have multiple departments and, like you said, multiple facilities at some point. But to grow into that leadership type of role, you need to really hone in and make sure, okay, like let me own my department first, right? And then I can start to branch out and figure out how do I get all this other stuff together. So I'm curious, and I know a little bit from when we talked before. I think I might know the reason why, but why did you decide to get into supply chain? Why did you go to school for supply chain?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This was a really tough decision. And, I always go back and think about, when you're 18, when you're 19, and you're really trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life.
It's a big decision, yeah.
And, now I have the opportunity of mentoring students that are in that situation or managers that are starting off.
Yeah.
And, I'll say what I always say. I think what's important is to work backwards. And by that I mean a lot of people focus on the degree that they're going to get. Criminal justice, engineering. There's so many, right? And they don't focus on what the end outcome is going to be. What will that degree get me, right? What kind of job will that degree get me? So I always say, look at the job that you actually want to do, right? So what job do you want to get yourself into? And then it's, well, that's really hard, right? There's so many jobs out there. Yeah. Well, what kind of style do you have? Because we're all different, and we're all different, which is the beauty of it all, right? So I know that I have certain interests. I'm strong with communication. I I'm an extroverted person. I like to talk to people. I like to engage people. So an IT job probably wouldn't be so good for me behind the computer at all times. Right? So I'm thinking, I need a job that allows me to communicate to the broader group of people. And, myself, I always wanted to be a CEO. That's what I always dreamed about, right? So when I started to talk to a lot of CEOs, which, by the way, reach out to people, ask them if they want to have a conversation with you, a quick conversation with you, you'd be surprised. When I was 18, 19, I got so many people on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was okay with, having a quick conversation with me, hearing this kid out and giving me some really solid tips about life and about what I should do. And, when I started to really engage and say, hey, this is what I'm strong at, this is what I like to do, I know it's not going to happen so quickly, but I do want to become a CEO. And, they would tell me, to be a CEO, you have to be able to influence large groups of people.
Right.
You want to be able to get the buy-in of a large organization, a large group of people to be bought into what you want to do. And that's why supply chain was the perfect fit, because I knew that with supply chain, I would get the opportunity of managing large groups of people in an operational setting.
Yes, yeah.
And, eventually at Amazon, I was managing 300, 400, 500 associates during peak season, right? Had a lot of, process assistants helping me manage, these large groups of people, peers, other managers that would help, in managing thousands and thousands of associates, right? That's really what got me very passionate about supply chain. And then supply chain is, it has so many different areas to it. So you could do procurement, you could do manufacturing, you could do warehousing, and, there's like inventory people. There's so many different parts of supply chain, whether you're dealing with all the inbound containers coming in from overseas, or you're dealing with all the outbound truckloads, LTLs that are leaving all the distribution centers. You could be a part of the, one of the sections of the end-to-end supply chain that exists, right? So there's just so much opportunity. Also, it's really hot. When I was graduating college, it was upcoming. Everyone was talking about supply chain. And, I luckily had the opportunity of choosing any of the degrees. And I landed on supply chain, and I'm so thankful I did. I look back at it, Kevin, and, I wouldn't have been the same guy, in finance or accounting. So, I'm really thankful that I ended up getting so much exposure and experience in warehousing, at every single level. I think that, that really is what got me to where I'm at today, right? Through the University of Warehousing. Starting in small teams, starting to grow your team in the warehousing, getting a whole department in the warehousing, becoming a senior in the warehousing, getting either all of inbound, all of outbound, all of quality, managing that whole department, becoming the general manager, managing the whole facility. Now you have the roles that you were doing reporting to you. You know those roles. You were the ones that created the SOPs for all of those roles. You know how it is to engage to the associates. You know what it was like to get the units per hour rate up, the direct rates, the indirect rates, whatever it may be. You were in those roles. So you know exactly what good looks like. And, to keep it simple, always give it your all. Always at all times, you give it your best. And I've seen warehouse associates that start off on forklifts and, now they're directors of operations. And they're doing amazing. And it's because they were great where they started and they never stopped. They kept going up and up. And then, you bring up the whole thing about me being young in my role. Ageism is something I faced my whole career. I was always the youngest in the room, in the role that I was in. My peers were always much older. And I think it's important to talk about this, right? Because it could be scary. When you have all these older people that are also, trying to, learn the game and grow in this company, in this organization. And, you're the youngest person and you're being told that often, right? Oh,
the kid,
they,
right?
they bring up the show. They bring up this show. It's like, oh, you probably didn't know about that. You were a baby. You were a kid. They'll say things that are all around. You're the young guy. Me, I thrive on that. I love that. Yes, I am the youngest guy, and you better watch out. Because I got a lot of energy. Right?
You're gonna run circles around.
So well, maybe not run circles, but it's all You got somebody that's young, that wants it, that cares, that wants to grow. And it's something that's felt on these teams, right? And it's a good thing, right? Because they see your peer working so hard, overachieving. And yes, I am an overachiever. And I'm okay to say that. I don't want to just give the minimum expectation, or else I wouldn't expect a promotion. Or I'd be scared to tell my boss that I want a 5-10% raise. Or that I want a bonus. Or that I just saved $1 million. I want a piece of, the money that I saved. And listen, a lot of the times it doesn't work out. That's fine. Next opportunity. The next opportunity will be there. You have the track record of all the savings that you've done, all the CI that you've done, all of the people that you've helped get promoted, all of the culture revamps that you've been a part of, all of the direct rate improvements that you've done, P&L improvements, whether you're decreasing cost or whatever it may be on the P&L and all the facets of it. And then the other door will open. The other opportunity will open. So if you look at my career, I've bounced around in a lot of companies intentionally.
Yeah,
I wanted to get influenced.
Yeah.
I wanted to get influenced by different organizations, by different senior leaders out there that I've also been a part of a lot of different organizations, right? The University of Life, I'm learning. And, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, it was big at Amazon. You're stealing shamelessly.
Yeah.
Whatever this one leader said at a meeting that, was well said and was pretty good, I'll probably use that in a couple of years.
Yeah, use it a little later on, right?
Yeah, of course, because that's what everyone does, right?
Yeah, you build that playbook, right?
Are you really creating everything from scratch?
Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, I'm sure I got a couple humorous, things that I say to friends and stuff. But, most of the things that I say to motivate the team, to engage the team, or, tough accountability conversations, right? When you have an underperformer and you really have to engage this person and, at the end of the day, you're helping them. You're trying to remove all the barriers. You're trying to get this person to meet the minimum expectation in their role and exceed it eventually. And you want to support because that's the culture that you want to be a part of in an organization. You want to you want to be fair, you want to give everybody the opportunity. But then there's that point where unfortunately the person isn't going to make it. Be direct about it.
Yeah.
And how can I help you? Okay, you're great at this and that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately this role isn't working out, and that's okay. Let's, maybe I can refer you to another role.
Yeah.
Reach out to my network. Hey, anybody have, some opportunity available for this person?
Yeah.
I'll be a referral. I can help with a recommendation letter. Certain things like that, and I think that's really what it comes down to is, going above and beyond for your people.
Yeah.
And then the people will do the same back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, I think that last point there, you tie it back to where you're talking about being in the warehouse and, it just becomes like a family, right? You're talking about, you take the breaks together, eat together, and,
you see them more than you see your parents, your loved ones.
Yeah, a lot of times. You spend more time with them during the week than the rest of your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, you want to have that culture, and as a leader, you want to build that culture too. So you want to be personable, as you said, and I think, it's a great thing to point out because I think that's so important because, a lot of times you hear, I'm sure you've heard it from, employees that you've hired and, they've had bad experiences at other operations where they just treat them like, you're just a machine out there, basically, like picking those orders, right?
You forget the people side of things.
Yeah, and when you have that people side, you're going to get more out of those people,
and that's what makes the warehouse leader, that's what you distinguish a great warehouse leader from the pack.
Yeah.
Because the pressure is never ending. You have to meet the quota. You have to meet the expectations. This is a business, right?
Yeah,
you have to
absolutely.
give back profit. You have to manage costs. You have to make sure that everyone's doing the right thing for the organization.
Yeah.
I had one of my mentors tell me something that, stuck with me. And, he said, Rodney, you're not a leader until every money that you spend on behalf of the company, you act as if it was yours.
Interesting. Yeah.
So don't, spend $100 because the company has a lot of money and because it's just $100 and it's their company.
Yeah.
We would think of it differently if it was our organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's our company and we're running it on our own and it's me and Kevin's warehouse, we're going to be really upset when we have a guy going to the bathroom for 20 minutes and stealing time.
Yeah.
We're going to be really upset when, we miss some orders on the outbound and it's affecting our relationship with our customers and now we might lose our customer.
Yeah.
It hits us a lot harder, right? That ownership.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ownership that you should give in any role that you do in any corporate environment because it will be felt and it will take you far ways. And, to bring it back to, to the ageism thing, I think that it's important for everyone to understand that some of the youngest, most brilliant CEOs of some of the biggest organizations, were in their late 20s, young 30s.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, that really is what got me all fired
there's
up.
No limit.
It's like, it's possible.
Yeah.
They can do it. Maybe I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such great advice and such a great perspective on everything as well. And I think it's really interesting. You talked about how you thought about operations and warehousing as like kind of the way to get that influential experience and be able to kind of have that influence and then grow into that C-suite level that you want to get to, which I think is a great thing. And I'm sure it's going to happen. Absolutely. And I think it's even more interesting to point out now because now you're seeing more and more where operations people are growing into those CEO roles, or now even, chief supply chain officers in the C-suite as well. It's taking more of an importance in organizations, and I think that, it's very good to point that out to the younger generations too, who are, like yourself was, and, at 18, 19, like, where am I going to go? What direction am I going to do the rest of my life? It's such a big decision, right? But there's so many opportunities within that supply chain space, and especially in warehouse. You get so much experience having to work on projects, having to worry about financials, data, all these things. Like, they all come together, and you're able to do those things and get those leadership qualities. It's such a great place to be in, and it gets a little crazy at times, sure. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat that part, but
no. Long hours, long days, a lot of sacrifice, wearing multiple hats, doing more than just your role, covering 2 roles, covering 3 roles, staying the extra few hours every single day. It doesn't happen by luck.
No,
it doesn't. You gotta put in your time.
You put in the work. Yeah,
you gotta put in the work. You gotta exceed the expectation, right? Talking to your boss, asking him, what is my expectation? What do I have to deliver on each quarter, each month is important.
Yeah,
nailing that and then exceeding it, or nailing it and then having more time. So you go up to your boss and you tell him or her, I have more bandwidth. Is it all right if I get, if I am able to be a fly on the wall for this one project? I'd love to see the style of the project, how it's going, how it flows, just to get the experience. Eventually, they're going to hear about that, that young kid right there. Yeah. Oh, this guy's just ripping it as an analyst, and he's just here. He just wants to get some exposure. People love that.
Oh, yeah.
They
absolutely.
love that. They thrive on that, right? Because, and I hate to say older people, because I hate everything about the numbers and age. But, people need the younger blood to give them that energy, give them that, that new, fresh blood, right? And I think that's really important. When you are looking for that career path and you are looking to see what you want to do, I think there's a couple different programs out there that let you evaluate your style, what you like, what you don't. But, one thing that was really cool, I had somebody tell me this, and it was through all the cold calling that I was doing while I was 18, 19, 20 in college, trying to figure out my life out and talking to a bunch of managers and people out there. And they said, Google famous people that were born on your birthday.
Okay.
And I don't want to get too into the astrology, right? But at the end of the day, I did look at that. And the top 3 people that came up, one was the founder of Hilton. And there was a style of a person, and it was an entrepreneur that owned property, that managed large teams. Yeah. And it matched perfectly with what my dreams were.
Yeah. And what you're doing now?
Well, I'll tell you that, it's never ending, right? Because, it's like a curse and a gift, right? You get to that goal, you nail it, and then you want to get the next one, the next one, and it never stops. I think that we're really lucky to be in this country, and this country gives a lot of opportunities, and I don't think I think they're never ending. Yeah. I think you just got to go out there and get it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's such great advice, and it's great to hear your story, and I think it's so good for students who are coming up and trying to figure it out, what they want to do in the supply chain space or any space at all, and just seeing that opportunity that you were able to create for yourself and be able to go through that and just see like how much experience you can really get in this world, I think is such a great thing for them to know. So we kind of talked about your experience and how you got to where you are now at Experior Global, and we're in your new location here. But tell us a little bit about Experior Global, what it is you guys do, and what you do for the warehousing world and trucking world and all the different things you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Experior Global is an asset-based 3PL organization based out of Chicago.
Right.
And we provide outsourcing logistical services, the full logistics solution to all of our clients.
Okay.
We have a warehouse network, an asset-based trucking network that allows us to really be able to outsource most of the logistical services that all the Fortune 500 or smaller organizations out there are looking for.
Okay.
And, whether it starts from doing the container logistics, overseas management from all the different countries out there to the ports of the U.S., to assisting with the drayage of getting these containers transported to any location in the country. Where is the container going? Is it going to the retailer? Is it going to a warehouse where then, the product needs to be processed, right? Whether it's palletized, put into racking, put into small bin locations. It's complex, and you know this, Kevin. There's so many different, things, so much product that is fulfilled and is in warehousing. So we have 6 distribution centers, and they're across Chicago, Dallas, and in Trenton, New Jersey, right?
Where we are now.
Where we are now,
yeah.
Right? I wish Trenton sounded as strong as Dallas and Chicago. Do you feel that sometimes? Because I'm a New Jersey guy. I love New Jersey to the fullest.
Yeah.
And it always feels like every state has that big city. Yeah. I wish that we had it.
Yeah, New Jersey doesn't really have like that big city.
No, it's like East Rutherford
we're stuck like
Trenton.
in between New York and Philly, so it's kind of like we get overshadowed. But
we get a little overshadowed, absolutely. But New Jersey's got their personality that keeps up.
Oh yeah. I'm not knocking New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I'm here my whole life, so it's New Jersey all day. But
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely feel what you mean. So I mean, you guys are involved in a lot of stuff on the logistics side, and obviously you're growing a lot. You have a big business, and now we're in this new space here in Trenton, as we mentioned, in New Jersey, strong New Jersey, big New Jersey, right? So tell us a little bit about the space where we're in, like what's the plan here? What are you guys looking to do?
Yeah. So to tell you, just to give you the full scope, so we have a couple hundred tractor trailers and drivers that are employed by Experior Global, and we leverage our distribution warehouses, which is the 6 warehouses across the major cities that I said, with our tractor trailers to be able to provide all type of fulfillment, warehousing, distribution, and transportation services. And, we also leverage, final mile. We do some transloading out of our warehouses. Okay. Our warehouses have some, and for the most part, they're mostly floor loaded, but we do have some racking in our facilities. And, we have customers that give us, tiny products that are the size of computer chips to, large appliances like the largest refrigerators, stoves, and ovens and washers and dryers, right? So to talk about Hamilton, right, and this facility, this is our latest expansion to the warehouse network. So it's our brand new facility. We just got it about a month ago, and right now it's ready to start receiving product for customers. We just laid out all the internet across the warehouse, and we painted a lot of the lines that need to, that are needed to be in standard. Right. And we're having some discussions right now with a few customers on who's going to be the anchor customer here and the rest of the customers. I think that one of the things that Experior Global is doing really great is ensuring that we're really understanding the customer's need to make sure that we can be a great partner for that customer. Yeah. We know that it's all about customer feedback and word of mouth between customers on which 3PL they go with, and that's what we care about. We want to make sure that we're fulfilling the customer promise and exceeding it. Yeah. Not all customers are for every 3PL, and I think that's one of the biggest problems in the 3PL world, right? The 3PL is just open-armed about taking any kind of business that they can. Yeah, anything. They don't really know if they're going to be good at it. They don't know if they, are they experts in it? Are they not? Are they going to learn on the fly? We are experts in a lot of things, but we understand that there's some opportunities that don't make sense to us for whatever reason, and instead of putting us in a bad situation where we can be represented the wrong way, we make sure that we really engage the customer fully, that we know that this is no problem. We actually do this in our Dallas facility. We do this in our Edison facility. Come and check out the facility and look at the operation. Look at the operation while it's running. And really start the relationship with any new potential customer with trust. Right. So making sure that we have virtual tours of every facility, so they don't have to physically go, hey, check out all of our facilities. Here's a video of each of them. Having a company overview that tells the story of the organization. Having leadership principles, a mission statement that's tied to making sure that we're meeting the customer promise. Right. So they could tell what Experior Global's culture is all about. Yeah. I think those are all the the foundational part to starting the relationship between 3PLs and customers and making sure that it's the right marriage. And we're excited to start here in Hamilton and start, getting customers here. We have loads that we're going to receive here in a few weeks, and we're going to start getting ramped up. I think that, this space is going to go quickly. In a few months, we're going to be at full capacity here. And, hopefully, maybe we'll do another podcast in a few months with
You
this
want us
place
full
loaded.
up? Okay, we could do that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great location. Obviously, it's like in my backyard, basically, so maybe I'm a little biased there. But, I mean, it's right off the turnpike. I mean, it makes total sense if you're looking for that kind of connection. And, being here and seeing your growth, I mean, I think it's a great thing to see. And I know you guys have somebody, I think, inbounding like next week as we're talking. So definitely going to fill up fast. And I'm curious, from that perspective, I think there's a lot of talk in the market and people are talking about like, oh, well, warehouse space, maybe it's going to like go decline for a little bit. It might be like a market correction or something like that. But you guys are opening, just took over the space a month ago, right? I mean, new space, or you're expanding and stuff like that. So, I mean, what's your view on the market? I mean, what are you guys seeing at Experior? I mean, are you seeing that there's still a lot of demand for space out there and for 3PLs to take on business?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of demand. I think that demand is going to keep growing the next 2-3 years. There's still some core problems that we're having, which is going to delay the volume, and it's going to make warehousing be more needed when the volume starts to come in.
Okay.
I think the demand is extremely high during the next 2-3 years. Might it get a little saturated in 4 or 5 years or a little, after that? I do think so, and I think that the demand is so high that every 3PL has the opportunity of bringing on these customers and filling up their warehouses because demand is so high. Yeah. I think the differentiator and what's really going to keep the 3PLs alive, strong, is the relationships that they start building with the customers.
Absolutely.
The trust that they have in their foundation. And that's really what's going to differentiate 3PLs amongst other 3PLs. There's 3PLs that sign that contract, and that's it. The customer, being customer-centric is out the door. They start treating the customer a little differently because, hey, I meet these KPIs, you give me my money, and that's it.
Right.
And I think that's the difference between Experior Global and the other 3PLs out there. We want to be personable. Yeah. The president of our organization is available for any call 24/7. I'm available for any call 24/7. Yeah. You could be in Bangladesh. We'll join a call at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. We're all into this business. Yeah. We want to be the most customer-centric 3PL in the country. And that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to meet. There's a lot of 3PLs out there that are doing great work. They're doing, they're doing a lot of awesome things, and we see it. But, now we're trying to figure out, how do we stand out? Right. Yeah. And that's, I think that's what makes us special because we go above and beyond to really build a relationship with each of the customers that we have that's built around trust, good communication, and going above and beyond, bending over backwards. We get told that we need to bring in, 50 containers in 2 days. Yeah. Hey, we're going to figure it out.
Make it happen. Yeah.
Let's pivot. Let's pull some levers. Let's increase our shifts. Let's put a night shift in place. Let's get some temp people, some temp associates in to help us with the volume. Let's move workforce from one facility to the next. Edison and Hamilton, 25 minutes away, so it's a simpler task to do. That's why we did it. Strategic. Yeah. Same thing how we have in the Chicago market. Where we have a bunch of facilities that are next to each other in that way, but I think that's really what gets the relationship to the next level. When you example yourself as a 3PL that's so customer-centric that you throw anything at us and we're going to figure it out and we're going to make it happen. Right. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to, break quality and stop following SOPs that we agreed on. Right. No, the quality is always there. We got to make sure that we're aligned on, the process, right? Zero emotion out of the process, zero emotion out of the billing. All of that alignment should happen at the beginning of the relationship, right? And if the 3PL is so strong and they're so good at what they do, they should put clauses in the contract that state very clearly that if you don't meet the promise, the KPIs, the goals that you have set, then the customer could break the relationship, can break the contract. And I think that's what it comes down to, So what else can a 3PL do to go above and beyond? Well, how about putting video cameras over all of the dock doors so everything that is received or goes on the outbound is recorded?
It's captured.
It's captured, right? Record, So if the customer gets a shortage for Walmart, which we know happens often, right? And Walmart and these big retailers out there, they give a shortage, and it's hard to put a claim on it. Sign BOL isn't really going to go far. But if you send them a video, right? We have cameras right above us here looking at all of our dock doors. We send them a video of when the truck came in, when you cut the tag off, when you opened it, when you offloaded all the pallets. You could do a count through the recording.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can see
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to, not be realistic with that, right? So, hey, it came in full. Why are you shorting us? We shipped it full. These are all our pallets. They all went into the truck. You saw us close it. You saw the truck depart. After the truck departs with the quantity inside of it, the responsibility is not on the 3PL. Yeah. Wherever we're responsible in the process, we we take it as seriously as it should be taken.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's such a great thing because it's more about, when you go and you hire a 3PL to do your fulfillment for you or your operations. I mean, it's so important to have that partnership. I mean, it's more of a partnership than it's like, I'm just hiring somebody to like cut my grass, basically, right? Like, it's not just that service. I mean, they're an extension of your company and your brand, and you want a 3PL that's going to have that focus like you're talking about, and being able to work with them and be personable and understand that, like, hey, like this, this could, make or break our company. Like, we can help you grow. Like, when you're seeing like this growth.
It's going above and beyond, right? So we have SOPs for every single one of our process path. When we have a new customer that we onboard, they tell us what their specifics are with the inbound process. Let's edit our SOP template. Let's align on what the SOP, the inbound process is for customer X, customer B, any customer. But we have the process aligned, and we make sure that the workforce understands, what the expectation is in each of the facilities. We have our, DC general managers in each facility that, that really run the show at each facility, and they make sure that, everything is being followed accordingly to meet the promise. But, having SOPs that align, having the right technology in place, right? A WMS that shows the product's life cycle in real time from start to finish at all times. There's full transparency here. Yeah. If the product is staying in a stage location and it's dwelling for a few days, I want the customer to track that, audit that, see that.
Oh yeah.
We're all, we could all be in this together.
Yeah.
But we have one goal.
Yeah.
And it's to make sure that we're getting everything out the way that it should be in the most effective and efficient way possible.
Yeah.
And, by going above and beyond, it's educating the customer in the WMS. Do you have to do a 30-minute session with 5-6 different people at the organization? No.
Yeah.
But if you do one and record it, now the organization can use that. So they understand how to run, the client portal. They understand how to run reports that are important. They need to be able to run all these reports.
Yeah.
Right. So having a video to teach them how to use the WMS, having SOPs to show them what processes we follow, it's all about that experience, that full experience. How, cell phone. This is the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Contact the supervisor that manages your account in the warehouse. Escalate it to the senior. Escalate it to the DCGM. If those escalations aren't working, call me.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing right by you, call the president.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the final escalation. And I can tell you that, I take it as seriously as the president does. And, it's the commitment, right? It's the commitment and the ownership. Problems happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's what you do about it, right? So you have some inventory discrepancies. Let's form an inventory action plan. Let's stop the injection on the inbound. Let's make sure that there's nothing going on the outbound that isn't tracked. Yeah. Let's have a 2-3 audit, points in place just to make sure that we know everything that's going in and out the right way. Yeah. And then we'll start, figuring out what's going on with the inventory. And that sometimes happens because you have one warehouse associate that isn't able to scan the right way. You have one DC lead that, is... they're learning and they're not capturing what they should in the beginning 2 months.
Right. Yeah.
Supervisors that might not care, it varies. Yeah. DCGMs that might not care, and that's fine, right? So you got to make sure that you have all the right audit points from the top all the way to the down, including myself, right? So, I challenge the president of our organization all the time, what reporting should we have every single month so I know that, I'm doing everything the right way?
Yeah, you're doing okay. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about work all the time and have all this emotion in place. Let me know what I have to deliver on.
Yeah.
Every single month. As long as I meet my deliverables, now we could talk about football, basketball, all these different things that are going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such a great way to be and be able to give that visibility to your clients and your customers and them have that visibility too. And reassurance, I think, is such a great thing for them to feel comfortable and, leave everything kind of in your hands on that operation side. And they can focus on, the marketing and the sales and really driving the growth of their business. And you guys are there to back it up and say, hey, we can handle it. You got more coming in, we'll take care of it, right?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
They should be focused on the growth of their business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They should be hands-off on their warehousing because they have the right warehouse partner that's going to make sure that they take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So really great to talk to you here, Rodney, and learn more about Experior, get to see the space and record in actual warehouse for the New Warehouse podcast. Makes total sense, right? We should have done this earlier. But so if people are interested in learning more about Experior and maybe interested in, putting some inventory here behind us in the warehouse, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a few virtual platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn. We have a phone number. You can call anytime. You'll get a hold of who you need to get a hold of at Experior. We have a sales email. I'm certainly available. There's a lot of communication channels, and I'm thankful that we got this opportunity of being on this podcast. I've been in warehousing for so long, and I got to tell you, this is my first podcast.
Okay.
It's my first time ever on a podcast,
there you go.
And it's tied to warehousing.
Right, you did pretty good, I think.
Hey, I appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
Definitely.
And, I'll tell you that there's a lot of different ways to get a hold of Experior Global. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for warehouse space, if you're looking for some transportation services from an asset-based organization, feel free to contact us. Let's explore. Let's have some exploratory calls. Let's have some meet and greets, and let's network, and let's see if we can form a partnership. Maybe not something that happens in the short term, but maybe something that happens in the long term. Keep Experior Global in mind. At the end of the day, there's a lot of 3PLs out there. There's a lot of organizations that have a lot. But at Experior Global, you get to meet the team. You get to meet myself. And I think that's where, that's really what differentiates the customer and the 3PL. How strong the relationship is with the people that are actually running the show at the 3PL. I oversee the warehouse network, and, you deal with me directly when there's any type of warehousing situation. And like I said, I'm 24/7, and I'm all in on this, Kevin.
All right, great to hear. And we'll definitely put all the information about Experior Global at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can easily find it. So, Rodney, thank you once again for inviting me into your new home here.
Kevin, it's really great to have you. And hey, we're going to do this in a few months again once this place is filled.
Yeah, we want to see it filled. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, definitely. So thank you so much, Rodney, and we'll put more information at thenewwarehouse.com.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.